DigitalOcean is taking on the cloud market with a unique approach, focusing on catering to developers and small businesses rather than large enterprise companies. Investors are taking notice of the startup. They've just announced $3.2 million in seed funding led by IA Ventures. Ben Uretsky is the co-founder and CEO of DigitalOcean, and he joins me now in studio. Good to have you on. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great.
Why the seed round now?
This is a perfect time for us to raise capital because we got to this point on our own, basically bootstrapping the company to massive traction, and we were reaching capacity in terms of what we could do on our own in the data centers.
But you've been pretty much successful with that, right?
Yes, absolutely. But in order to prove ourselves to larger lending institutions and put capacity into the data centers, we had to inflate our balance sheets by taking on investment.
Talk to me about how you're building out the company with this new funding.
Yeah, we're adding additional staff to complement the engineering department, which will produce additional products that our customers are clamoring for. But more importantly, we'll be adding additional servers to our data centers to ensure that we can match increased customer demand and make sure that we don't run out of capacity.
And your new data center is here in New York at Google's New York headquarters. What was the strategy behind the Manhattan location?
Yeah, I mean, New York City is where we started with our first data center, and later on we expanded to Amsterdam, circling back to the States with San Francisco, and now back to New York. We essentially ran out of space in our original New York City data center and needed to look for a new facility. Google's building is fantastic. It's the most carrier dense building in New York with the most network providers available, so it's a perfect place to run a cloud business from.
You mentioned out west. I would imagine in your business, being in Silicon Valley, or at least near Silicon Valley, that's a must for you.
Yes, absolutely, which is why our San Francisco data center is right in the heart of town, right in the Bay Area, and it's been extremely well received.
The cloud computing market, it's getting very crowded. A lot of giants in the game, as you know, Amazon, Salesforce, just to name two. What are you doing to stand out?
Yeah, they are focusing primarily on enterprise and large businesses, and they're ignoring the developer segment, which we're going after directly. So with a $5 price point to start with, 55-second provisioning time to get your server online, and being based all on SSD drives delivering the best in performance, we're making a real connection with these developers, and they're really extremely excited about the product. Word-of-mouth referrals account for more than half of new customers to our platform today.
Were these developers just waiting for someone like you to come along? Because it seems that, I don't want to use the word niche because I don't want to diminish what you're doing, but it seems that this was just ready and waiting for somebody to say, okay, we'll take on this.
It certainly feels that way. We spent a lot of time building the right position and finding a unique place in the market, and the traction that we were able to chalk up certainly speaks for it. Netcraft, one of the industry trade publication, ranked us as the second fastest growing provider in the U.S. right behind Amazon. So we feel we certainly hit a great niche there.
Your growth came early. In hindsight, maybe a bit too early?
No, not at all. I feel that we were able to keep up with demand. There were a couple of operational issues that we ran into, much like any provider. Even Amazon has shared their downtimes. But overall, I feel we've provided a great level of service, and now with IA's funding and this investment, we should be able to move.
Speaking of IA, how have you benefited from that partnership?
Yeah, they've been fantastic. I think, going back a couple of years when we first met them, they pointed us at Techstars, a startup accelerator, and we got into that program on, basically that connection, and it's really dramatically expanded our network and shown us how to do business in a much better way.
We have about 30 seconds left. How do you stay ahead of the growth curve?
By partnering with the right strategic, companies, much like IA, they'll guide us all the way through, and by staying innovative in this marketplace with the...
Because it's not just enough to keep up with demand anymore.
Well, certainly not. That's why we're developing new products all the time. Private networking will be released in the New York data center, IPv6 shortly thereafter, and one-click provisioning installs.
Ben Uretsky, he is the co-founder and CEO of DigitalOcean, joining us in studio. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, a New York-based startup.